Today, we are honored to speak with one of the most influential figures in American history. From a humble log cabin on the frontier to the presidency of a divided nation, he preserved the Union, helped end slavery, and left a legacy that still shapes America today. Mr. President, Abraham Lincoln, welcome.
Thank you kindly for that thoughtful introduction. It is a great honor to know that my story continues to be remembered and shared so many years later. I was simply a man who tried to do his duty during a difficult chapter in our nation's history. I am grateful to be here, and I look forward to reflecting on the journey that shaped my life.
To start, can you briefly describe your childhood in Kentucky and Indiana? What was the atmosphere like growing up?
I was born in a small log cabin in Kentucky and spent much of my youth in the wilderness of Indiana. Life was simple but difficult. We worked from sunrise to sunset, clearing land, farming, and surviving harsh winters. There was little luxury, but those years taught me perseverance, humility, and the value of hard work.
Can you take us to a moment in your early life? Perhaps a place where you developed your love for reading, or where you first felt a sense of purpose?
One memory stands above the rest. After a long day of labor, I would sit beside the fireplace in our cabin and read by the glow of the flames. Books were scarce, but each one opened a new world. It was there, with an axe leaning against the wall and a borrowed book in my hands, that I first sensed education could change a person's future.
When you first entered politics, what did that world look like? Could you describe a pivotal early political moment and where it happened?
Politics on the frontier was far less formal than people imagine today. One pivotal moment occurred in New Salem, Illinois, where I gave my first public speeches. Standing before neighbors and farmers, I discovered that ordinary people wanted honest leadership. Those gatherings convinced me that public service was a calling worth pursuing.
The Lincoln-Douglas debates were iconic. Could you explain one key moment from those debates and the atmosphere of the crowds?
The most important question during the debates was whether slavery should spread into new territories. At Freeport, Illinois, thousands gathered beneath the summer sky to hear us argue the future of the nation. The crowds were energetic and deeply invested because they understood the issues would shape America's destiny.
The Civil War was a defining period. Can you walk us through a day in the White House? Perhaps where you received pivotal news or made a crucial decision?
Many days during the war began with casualty reports and telegrams from the front. I often spent hours in the War Department telegraph office, waiting for news from the armies. Some messages brought hope, others heartbreak. Every decision carried the weight of thousands of lives and the future of the Union.
Emancipation was central to your legacy. Could you describe the room where you finalized the Emancipation Proclamation and how that moment felt?
I finalized the Emancipation Proclamation in my office at the White House. The room was modest, filled with papers, books, and the burdens of war. When I signed the document, I understood it would forever change the nation. It was one of the most important and solemn acts of my life.
Could you explain what the Emancipation Proclamation did for the country?
The Emancipation Proclamation was my declaration that slavery could not continue in a nation founded on liberty. Issued in 1863 during the Civil War, it declared enslaved people in the rebellious Confederate States to be free.
You faced immense personal challenges. Could you share a place or moment that grounded you, even in your darkest days?
One of the darkest moments of my life came after the death of my son Willie in 1862. I often found myself sitting quietly in the family quarters of the White House, reflecting on grief and faith. Those moments reminded me that even a president is first a father, husband, and human being.
Could you tell us about your last moments and how it happened?
On April 14, 1865, I attended a play at Ford's Theater in Washington. While watching the performance that evening, I was shot by John Wilkes Booth. I was carried across the street to the Peterson House, where doctors and loved ones remained by my side throughout the night. I never regained consciousness and passed away the following morning, April 15, 1865, at the age of 56.
If you could leave one final message for the modern world, what would it be?
Never lose faith in one another. The challenges of each generation may change, but the values of honesty, compassion, and unity remain timeless. Treat one another with dignity, seek understanding over division, and always strive to leave the world better than you found it. If you do that, the future will remain bright.